Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show and a bit of an impromptu special, really, because of the breaking news that has taken place this evening in the Huddersfield Town have parted company with Lee Grant. I'm Chris Bell. I'd like to say our regular Huddersfield Town face on the channel, Stephen Downs, joins me. First things first, how we met you well?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. You?
I mean, better or worse for this evening's news?
Feeling a bit better than I did at 5 p.m. Put it that way. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting next couple of days in terms of the world of Huddersfield Town for sure.
Yes, very much so. Don't forget, Terriers fans, you can get your comments in across YouTube. It's probably the easiest way to do that. And if they're clean, we'll see what we can do about getting some of your comments and views out there as well. Also, throw your names out there as well for who's going to be the next town manager. Let's start at the beginning then, with this afternoon, with the result, I guess, and the performance down at Burton Albion. It's one that we were talking about on last Monday's show when we were kind of previewing, looking ahead, and we'd said that it could be a bit of a banana skin. Burton isn't the easiest of places to go. And it proved that way to be for Lee Grant this afternoon, a 3-1 defeat.
Yeah, but Burton has been a team since Huddersfield have got relegated to League One that we just seemingly can't beat. They are becoming the bogey side for us at the moment. Obviously, we'll do a full reaction tomorrow on Town Talk. So everybody who's tuning in now, please do tune in tomorrow for me, Kane, Oliver, and Cal. But yeah, it was a disastrous result, really, in terms of our hopes for going up. I know me and you particularly have had a back and forth this season on, well, he's still in the playoffs and and that sort of thing.
To be fair, I've been like, this was a terrible idea with Lee Grant for most of the season.
Yeah.
But
you are loving also
as a Lincoln fan, I have quite enjoyed how badly it's gone to a point because it's kept you well away from us. But carry on.
Yeah, so I don't think there was coming back from this result, to be honest. Not with the game that's happening next week, and I'm hoping that me and Gaz can maybe get on a separate stream to preview the show, particularly in the run up to the game. But I just think that with the result, the way that the fans feel about Grant, I don't think there was any coming back for him really. And listening to his post match comments, he said that we had chance after chance. We didn't, Lee. We had 2 chances really from Bojan and Alfie May's goal. It wasn't chance after chance. Burton deserved to win the game, in my opinion. The defending for the goals was absolutely shocking, and they should have. Let's be honest, they should have scored a 4th if the lad didn't miss a terrible 1-on-1. So yeah, the club had no choice. They literally had no choice. They had to do it now. It just seems absolutely mental that we've loaned out Jota. We've made decisions in this window because it seemed like Lee Grant was staying, and now because he's going, yeah.
Well, this is the thing, because look, we talked kind of off air in our WhatsApp group over the course of the week that everything was screaming Lee Grant wasn't going anywhere because, the signings that have been made, obviously Cameron Humphreys he'd worked with prior at Ipswich, in Ballymumba. It was just, let's be fair, a sizable fee for League One spent. Obviously, it's clear that they were backing him in that respect. And then obviously whatever's happened, and obviously I appreciate the rumour mill has always been in full swing about a proper falling out between Taylor and Grant. Everything pointed to the fact that we're backing Grant by getting shut of Taylor till the end of the season. And then you've suddenly gone from this, where everything pointed towards that we're going to try and stick with him and back him, to, as you say, this result at Burton Albion, the understandable frustration and anger in the defeat, to 4 hours or so after full time, it being kind of unveiled and announced with the tweet on the club's social media accounts.
Yeah, like I say, I just don't think that the club had any choice but to sack him. I mean, the performance today was very, very, very poor. Yes, we before this sort of run, we did go on an okay run, but it's all right saying, looking at the results on hard paper and going, do you know what, they're not bad, but realistically, I've watched every game near enough, and the performances are so inconsistent by players from week to week, by what Grant thinks from week to week. I mean, even in his press conferences, you listen to him and you just know that he has no clue. And I mean, I really backed him at the start of the season. I was quite okay. Yes, he's not particularly experienced in any way, sort of form, but it's sometimes these left sort of field appointments can work. We saw that at Birmingham with Chris Davis. There's countless ones over the years that have worked. But as the season's gone on, and we kept saying, he's got to learn, but we're now 6 months in, 7 months in, and he's not learning. And the players are obviously become disillusioned. I don't think he totally lost the dressing room, but I think we were on the downward spiral of him totally losing the dressing room. And obviously Kevin Nagel and Chris Markham and Jacob Edwards have decided to take action. But some of the decisions within this window, whether they're good players or not, and I believe they are, some of them are really good players, are just a bit mad.
Yeah,
I mean, if I were Joe Taylor and Alfie May, I'd be delighted tonight. I wouldn't be delighted that I'm playing for a club that's losing. Don't get me wrong, but I'd be delighted in the fact that they clearly didn't have a particularly fantastic relationship with him, and that's only an outsider looking in. Obviously, we're not in the dressing room itself, but on the other hand, if I were somebody like Bojan Radulovic, I'd be a bit gutted because Lee Grant has really gone with him and backed him, and Bojan's been okay this season.
Yeah, I dare say the kind of the way that Bojan Radulovic has turned out this season is possibly one of few positive impacts that Lee Grant has kind of had on the squad, at least over the course of the season so far. I mean, I caught a prominent clip of Lee Grant's interview with BBC Radio Leeds after the game today, and to be fair, the quote that they've used when posting on social media from BBC Radio Leeds of him saying it's not really for me to put energy and emotion into that when regarding any concerns for his job. One of the problems that you said from day one, and I think has been blatant across, and actually, you know what? I think it's possibly why a lot of the town fan base has struggled, is because he just hasn't been personable. He hasn't been warm, or there's been no kind of charisma from him. It's all been very straight down the line, dare I say boring, with
robotic.
What he said, and yeah, I mean, I feel I can appreciate kind of that sort of feeling towards managers when they're like that. We've seen them over the years at Lincoln, but he's just never let himself look like he's enjoying the job either, it seems.
No, but it is a pressurized environment in the fact that, look, he's come to a club who, whether right or wrong, the fans expect what the fans expect. The owner certainly expects to be promoted this season. He made that very clear at the start of the season. With quotes like top 2 or nothing, stuff like that. I mean, that I'll be honest, that didn't really help Lee Grant from the off.
No.
But he was backed in the summer, with the players. I mean, we did go out and spend, not necessarily, I know you have a joke or two, big spending Huddersfield Town. The transfer fees particularly weren't that massive, but they were sizable, but they weren't Birmingham massive. But what I would say is that the wages were probably going to be quite considerable for a number of these players that we have brought in. So he was backed. It started well. I mean, you go back to that day, the first day of the season when we beat Leyton Orient, and we played really well that day. And Alfie May scored a penalty, the sun was shining, and everybody thought, I mean, we're after the watershed, but HMS Pistol League is ready to set sail and go. And then we've suddenly, within, I'd say, 2 months, 3 months, the boat sort of like started to leak a bit.
Yeah, it was wobbling quite a lot, to say the least, wasn't it?
But you look at them early performances, and they were okay. Even like the loss to say Blackburn, not Blackburn, sorry, Blackpool or Barnsley. There were reasons we lost them games. I came on here and talked quite vividly about the fact that you could see why we lost them. There was reasons why we lost them. Goalkeeper having a mad 5 minutes. The team generally just having a mad 10 minutes at Blackpool. There were reasons why we lost them games. I think the big first one for me, the big red alert, was Bradford away. And obviously, it's interesting that he's now got sacked the game before we played Bradford at home.
Just before Bradford at home.
Which obviously City fans are now delighted at that fact. Don't worry, I still think you'll smash us to bits, but there we are. But that was the big first red flag for me, Chris. Bradford away, to not get up for a derby game that you haven't played in 20 years. It's not really good enough.
No. I mean, look, let's take a quick glance.
We're getting loads of comments, by the way.
We are. A big thank you to everyone that has got the comments in so far. Big hello to Michael. We're doing well, thank you. And Steve's far happier now than he was at 5 o'clock. I'm just going to quickly scroll through. There's that many that are coming thick and fast. As ever, Ben was the first one. Oh, how I've missed this, he says. Sporting Journey, evening to you as well. Big thank you to many Town fans that have been in touch. Let me try and pick out a few whilst I'm here. Tom Hayden, Party Time, Lee Grant's gone. Terry 930, please don't be Liam Manning. That would be Lee Grant Mark 2. We will come on to that a little bit later on. Joe Jenkins says that Terriers fans can all sleep a little better tonight. Ben's got one that's quite thankful, should we say, I think, to Burton Albion for carrying the position of sacking Kevin Nagle. I said there are absolutely loads, and there's been quite a discussion as well about where to go from here. Someone's mentioned Warnock.
Right, can we just stop that chat right now? That's
let's can the Warnock chat. Bless him. He's got his
Wagner chat.
He's calm, he's happy, he's enjoying his life. Let's not ruin it by dragging him back up to Huddersfield and asking him to fight another fire. Just on Grant, then, kind of obviously, statistically, I'd be curious, and obviously, I appreciate you and the lads tomorrow night.
Yeah,
we'll look more at kind of where he will rank in terms of the recent managers under Nagle in particular. But his overall record: 27 league games, 11 wins, 6 draws, and 10 defeats in the league. You can see bottom total there: 36 games played and 17 wins. It's not great, but I kind of say that slightly with a little bit of empathy, in the sense that you've got to kind of come back to that. It's his first job side of things as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the big things that's been said all season. Well, he's learning on the job, and yes, he's learning, but were we the right club to be learning at? That's all I'd say. I think it's a bit different when you go into, say, and I'm not being disrespectful here, but maybe you go into, I don't know, a Leyton Orient or a Reading, who might not particularly be as ambitious or have the intensified pressure as what Town have this season, because of the nature of, we need to get back up. Promotion is the one thing that we definitely need. And that's not being disrespectful to either of those sides. I think, Reading have been through some horrific stuff in the recent past, and Leyton Orient did great last season. But is that intensified pressure on them jobs as high as it is on what it is at Town? I don't think so. So it was always going to be difficult for him. I did think that, a young manager coming into it with lots of energy, lots of enthusiasm, lots of optimism was fantastic after what we've had over the recent times. But it's just proven to be a really bad gamble. And I think like you said earlier, you kind of said it at the start of the season. I said, you can go back and check. I said that it would be a 50-50 appointment. It could go either way. I hoped it would go the right way. It hasn't. Where do I rank him in town recent managers? Statistically, I don't know how he'll rank. We'll have to see that. The one thing that graphic.
We'll let Kane and Cal suss out the full calculations of where he ranks actually statistically tomorrow.
Yeah, the one thing that graphic doesn't show, and you've done great to get that graphic, by the way, in literally 5 minutes before we come on air, but it doesn't show win percentage. So I'd like to see his win percentage compared to other managers. But, I think...
I can't work that out in a hurry.
No. I mean, it's what?
I mean, look at it this way. Yeah, if it was
more
draws and 30 games, it's kind of a 1 in 3 almost, or just better than a 1 win in 3.
So it might be somewhere around what
35, 37%, something like that, maybe.
Yeah. So I think, in terms of where town fans will rank Lee Grant in terms of the fullness of time, he ultimately has failed. And do I rate him higher than Michael Duff? No, because I think Michael Duff would have done better with his squad. I honestly do. I think Michael Duff was more liked. I think the thing for town fans is what they didn't like about Michael Duff is he was very stubborn on his 3-5-2 system, where Grant has changed. But I think overall people like Duff's honesty. If we play crap, Duff would say we play crap. He wouldn't necessarily speak in FA book riddles, where Grant hasn't done that. I mean, the one thing, Chris, I will be very thankful for is hopefully we don't get a manager that says group that much. I've hated the word group for about 5 months. I never want to hear a manager say the word group ever again. You can say team, you can say the lads, you can say whatever you want, but not group.
It's amazing, isn't it, though? Certain managers end up keeping hold of key buzzwords, and in particular, in this case, that one, it's that implying that it's everyone together, regardless of the fact whether you're falling out with Joe Taylor or not. It's everyone together, a group, etc.
But there was no accountability, Chris. That's the thing that
that
town fans have really got annoyed at with his post-match comments. Not just today, but with BBC Radio Leeds, but overall this season. That he's not said, well, this was my fault. Where Duff actually came out and did say that at times. He used to say, well, I could have done this or I could have done that. And, overall, I think fans did forgive that. Lee Grant's a nice bloke. I put him in the same bracket as Darren Moore and more down the past in terms of Chris Powell. Nice bloke. Wrong time for the job. I mean, the difference between all them 3 managers is actually Chris Powell did the best out of all of them, to be honest. With what he had. So, and we had no money then under Dean Oil. I mean, we scrimped for players, where now they've actually been backed of both Darren Moore and definitely Lee Grant and both failed. But yeah, I hope Lee Grant, wish him all the best. I think he should go back into being a coach. I think he should go back. I think he should go back into learning some more about what it takes to be on the sidelines. If I were him, I wouldn't rush him back into another job. But I wish him all the best. But for Huddersfield Town, I'm more bothered about my club and its future. And Lee Grant wasn't the future.
I am already regretting typing in the words next Huddersfield manager odds. And you will see just why in a minute or two. Just before we do, town fans, let us know your thoughts on who you would like to see in the dugout. Ben Rothery says, hi guys, hope it's not Liam Manning, would rather get Richie Wellens or Tony Mowbray. Tony Mowbray is a name, Steve, that you in particular have been highlighting a lot over the last 3 or 4 months. Somebody a bit more of that old school side. There's still the discussion going about Warnock and whether he'd do the job. First things first, when I put this in, give me 1 second. Not many bookies that I've found so far are offering the odds so quickly on next town manager, because obviously it's only happened in the last hour or so officially. First thing to say is you can piss right off Bet Victor. Other bookies are available.
Scoob's on there.
He's top. He's effing top, mate.
That'd be such banter. After buying your
Oh my god, I will.
That would be banter.
I will. Mate, I love you, but I will freaking swing for you if you pinch Scoobs from us. Let's ignore.
That's a threat, by the way. Live on air, people.
I am absolutely not having that for a start. So let's look at the rest of the list. I should have just cropped it. I should have just cropped it below Scoobs, and you've been none the wiser. Liam Manning obviously has been at Bristol City. Did well at MK Dons a few years ago. Was obviously at Norwich this season. Didn't go so well for him. Andy Woodman doing absolute wonderful job, to be fair, with Bromley, top end of League Two at the moment, having built them up from a National League. There's a couple of really obscure ones, like Carl Robinson, who isn't doing that well at Salford. Like, he's doing okay, like the kind of playoffy sort of area. But I don't necessarily see why he'd fit onto this list. Russell Martin at 8-1.
No.
I mean, basically, I get the impression, though, with a few of these, to be fair, the Bet Victor have just looked at who's doing well at who's overachieving in League One. Hence why they've gone for Scoobs and why they've gone for Alex Travell as well on the list. Obviously, it's Stevenage. Tony Mowbray is on there at 12-1, along with. I mean, these are short odds for 12-1 can give you Tony Mowbray, Darren Ferguson, or Stephen Gerrard, apparently, Downsy.
Yeah, I mean, look at that list. You know, it's a hot pot of.
It's a proper
names,
mix. Will Still's in there.
I,
Who, to be fair, he was highly regarded, and then obviously did terribly at Southampton.
The only thing about Will Still that I'd say is that, and I don't want Will Still, but Southampton's a massive club in it. You know, they were expected to do
after doing well in France to come over to England and your first job be Southampton, where they're expected to go back up straight away. Yeah, you're right. It is a massive kind of jump to come to. I mean,
I think the obvious one on that list is Liam Manning. And I think, I don't know this for fact, so please don't take it as fact, but I believe that Town have spoken to him before about the job, or it, you know, I think he has applied, to be honest, by the amount of times that he has been linked with us in the past. But I don't really want Liam Manning. I think he's come out of an absolute, you know, horrendous situation at Norwich where he's done really bad. And he put them second bottom in the table, and I just think, you know, is Town, is he going to jump from the frying pan of Norwich into the fire at Town? I don't know whether that's good for his own career, to be honest.
The thing for Norwich as well is they have improved. They're still in the bottom three, but they have, like, results wise, they've improved quite a lot under Philippe Clement since he's gone in there.
Yeah, and so obviously we had this discussion in the WhatsApp group, and Jay kind of dismissed why I wouldn't want a decent Championship manager, and that's not the case at all. But you've got to take it at times where I don't think it's good for a manager's head to jump from that situation into a situation at Town. Stephen Gerrard, you might as well write that off. I mean, he's never coming to Town. Blow me now.
No, that's just a peculiar one.
But I genuinely think Stephen Gerrard will be on every manager's list for time in memoriam going forward if he's out of a job. Tony Mowbray is the one that I would like, along with Gary Rowett. I don't know what odds Gary Rowett were on that list if he was even on the list. But
and let me just bring him back up. I don't. You know what? He isn't on that full list there. I will.
Gary Rowett's the one for me. I think he'd be a superb manager at Town. Stable-head, knows the EFL, knows players, has lots of contacts, well respected in the game. Okay, didn't work out at Oxford, but my God, you know, Oxford they're punching above the weight anyway, aren't they? You know, I mean, they did great to go.
He isn't on it. He isn't on this list. The Bet Victor, and as I say, look, I appreciate other bookies are available, but I'll say Bet Victor seems to be the one that have quickly come up with a list first anyway. Gary Rowett surprisingly doesn't make the list. You'll be delighted to know that Wayne Rooney is on there at 20-1.
If we genuinely, if we go for Wayne Rooney, we might as well just relegate us to League Two.
Pack up now and go home,
Honestly.
I mean, yeah, as I say, it's a strange bunch. As I say, there's a mix of people that are kind of in work and overachieving. There's a mix of people that are out of work, in the form, obviously, like Manning and Martin and Will Still. There's some that have kind of got coaching backgrounds. Just thinking, for example, Leighton Baines is on there. John O'Shea, again, I would love to know where they somehow pluck some of these names out of.
No, I mean that we don't need that. We don't need somebody who's just coming out of the coaching manuals. We don't, or whatever coaching course. We don't need that. We need a person that's been around the game for a while. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to play the British football. The three names that I would have would be Tony Mowbray, Gary Rowett, and Nigel Pearson. And Kane hates the fact that I want Nigel Pearson. I don't want him for his football. I want him to be able to go into a changing room and demand some respect.
Yeah,
turn the club around. Be a leader.
Michael, I was just going to turn to a few of the comments. Michael's gone for the exact same three. Couple. I'm hoping this is a piss take from Leviathan. Wayne Rooney's Barmy Army. Are you with me? HSC says Warnock, bring the Sweet Prince back.
No.
Terry 1908, only one man for the job. Neil Warnock.
No.
I'm just going to quickly go for that one. You can sod right off. You can leave Skubala well alone. Leave him alone.
I don't think he'd come. I don't think he'd come, Chris. I'm
hoping the fact that he's got.
Let's be serious.
He's Skubala having roots at working at Leeds United means that he wouldn't fancy moving to the dark side.
But I don't think it's all to do with that. I think it's more the fact that why would you jump from Lincoln, a team that you've built up realistically yourself, with a board that's backed you, whether the board's changed or whatever. But the board that have backed him, and
yeah,
end of the day, he's going for an automatic place. Why would he come to Huddersfield, who are a bit of a bag of not mixed bag at the moment? I don't see him doing it. Now, the one gaffer that I do see doing that, because he's doing slightly worse, is Richard.
Just to clarify, Leviathan says that Wayne Rooney was a piss take. I also just want to touch, just before you move on with your thing, I just want to quickly, before it ends up scrolling way down the chat, a slightly left field one, but something that's in a job, and it's Jed, who is a regular viewer from the other side of the world, so I'd love to know where he's watching from tonight. Is Nigel Clough, or Niglo Clough, I think he's had a couple of whiskies tonight celebrating Grant's departure, maybe. Nigel Clough, again, to be fair, is kind of been there and done it, and at least has bloody managerial experience. And I mean, look, I think this is the key thing for now. Is it's got to be somebody that's stood in a dugout before and not, and not coming out of coaching colleges or backroom staff that's had no senior experience.
No, and listen, and bless Jed. Sorry, the lad lives in Oz, so he's probably had a few Fosters there. But I just think Nigel Clough again. He'd handle the pressure. He'd 100%. He'd handle the pressure. But
I'd put him into your bracket. To be fair. I would put him into that kind of Rowett, Mowbray, Pearson bracket, but just a little bit younger.
He would 100%, and I do like how he speaks because he does. Again, he seems to have a good relationship with the Mansfield fans. I think he's always been well respected, hasn't he? Not just because of the namesake, because of what he's done in the game. My only problem with Nigel Clough is has he got what it takes to get Town promoted in terms of... I don't think he's had a promotion, has he? Has he?
Yeah, he took Mansfield up.
But from League Two, was that? That was from League
Two.
Two.
Yeah, he took him up from League Two to League One.
He never took Derby up, did he? He never took Derby up, did he?
I don't think he took Derby. I want to say that he might have taken Burton Albion up as well, actually, in previous years. Again, from League Two up to League One.
Yeah.
In fact, actually,
he's not a bad man. He's not a bad manager. I mean, again, my other theory that I was going to say was Richie Wellens at Leyton Orient.
I think
Another
that'd be a
one,
good shout.
another one that I quite like how he talks. I think he did well at Donny, didn't he? I think he did well at Donny. But yeah, he obviously did really well at Leyton Orient last year. Had a lot of good players. They've not done as well this time, but I don't think he's quite got the squad there that he did last season. I think you put him in charge with quality players, and maybe magic might happen. But yeah, I think I can see it being somebody like him. I don't want Carl Robinson. No, just please go away with that suggestion.
That's fair. That's fair. Oh God, I'm sorry. Sorry, but that's a horrible suggestion for me. Oh, he's such an obnoxious prick. Like, you only have to watch him in his interviews at QPR and Rangers. My God, what a horror! Put it this way: if town fans couldn't want a Lee Grant, Beale's got no frigging chance. Jesus.
And also, I don't want Russell Martin. I really, really do not want Russell Martin. I've said this before, and I will stick to this comment until he changes his whatever his system is. He's a speedboat that looks pretty, plays pretty football, but he's not effective in any way. It's a speedboat that's broke with its left-hand rudder down that just goes round in circles.
He does, however, bring a surefire way to. No, I can't say it. I'll risk it getting cancelled. I'm not going down that route. All I'm saying is, if Russell Martin did get the job, there's a fair chance that Lucy Pinder might rock up to see how her partner's doing. I'm saying nothing else on that before we get ourselves cancelled. Quick look at one or two of the comments. Matthew Mowbray would be his favourite if he feels fit enough to do it. I agree with Steve on the point that he makes on getting some experience in. The club is crying out for that. This is an interesting kind of angle. Which way should we go? We'll go this way first. In terms of temporary charge, we're expecting it to be Jonathan Worthington and Jonathan Hogg, perhaps. There's been nothing that's come out specifically about caretaker management, because I'll bring up Kevin Nagel's words from the statement that went out earlier. Entering this season with renewed optimism and hope, proactively reshaped our first team throughout the summer. We were clear about not only our ambitions, but how we wanted to achieve them, the type of team on the pitch we wanted to enjoy alongside our supporters. Sadly, on current form, none of these objectives are being met. And with just under half a season remaining, we feel no other option but to make a change to put the side back on track. I would like to thank Lee for his efforts and wish him nothing but the best for the future career. Our previously stated aims and desires for the season remain the same. We're making a change with those ambitions still firmly in mind. Now, the key thing at the bottom, Sporting Director Chris Markham will lead the recruitment process to appoint a successor for our men's team. Now, there's one or two comments and questions. If I just scroll up, there we go. Are you with me? Said, who is Chris Markham connected to? It's an interesting question because, and you have a better idea on this one than me, Steve, but when you look at Chris Markham's career path in recent years, call it the last 5 years or so, who's he appointed elsewhere in the past and who's worked well and who hasn't?
Well, the main one is obviously, I think people can.
Did he take Everett to Bolton?
Well, I was just about to say that. People can prove me wrong on that. I don't know whether Markham was at Bolton before Everett, but yeah, I think he might have done. Yeah, he and Everett. I mean, that's been his main. If he did bring Everett to Bolton, that's been his main manager. Let's be honest. What I would say about Chris Markham is, unlike, I forgot the fellow who
Cartwright.
Cartwright, that's it.
He was the one who didn't like Cartwright.
Yeah, Cartwright, that's it. I've tried to wipe him from my memory.
Succeeded by the looks of it, mate.
You know, I think compared to him, Chris Markham has a lot more connections. I think he's well respected in the game. You know, it's interesting. We actually haven't heard anything from him at all. He hasn't done a club interview or anything. I mean, I think he's spoken to one or two support groups, like the disabled supporters group, who get to meet club officials from time to time, and stuff like that, which is brilliant, obviously, for them. But we haven't heard actually an official sort of club interview with him, which would be really good to hear that. Or, in fact, I will say this now: if Chris would like to come on this show, we'd be glad to have him. and put some questions. We are nice, Chris. I promise. We don't bite. We have interviewed the owner before. What I would say is, it's going to be interesting. I think it is interesting that they haven't said in that statement who's interim charge. I think that's probably because they don't know themselves. I think that will be discussed tomorrow. I presume it will be Jonathan Woodgate. Be interesting to see if
he's a bit busy at Old Trafford now.
Jonathan Worthington. I think you can tell that I'm tired now. Jonathan Worthington and Hoggy. It'll be interesting to see if, I presume it will be them that take the team for at least a couple of training sessions. They need to get somebody in quick, though. That's what I would say. You can't have a 3-4 week process of finding a manager. It needs to be on the phones, bashing the phones now, really, from tomorrow. I'll be honest. I'll say it here, and we can all rewind this back in about 2 weeks when the next manager is appointed. I expect it to be Liam Manning.
Right. I'm going to... why? It's a simple question. Why?
Just because I think...
I know that he's the name that seems to be doing the rounds on social media, on down at the Mac, etc. But why? Like, he's no links to the club historically. He's no great record. There's nothing to get hugely excited about and be like, he's the one you've got to go for. And, well, to the best of my knowledge, which, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't suspect he has a previous connection, not a deep connection, to Chris Markham either. It does sound like just one of those, someone's put them out the hat and thrown him on a bookies list.
But there has been rumours that we have not offered him the job, but we have talked to him before, about being the manager.
Was that before he nosedived at Norwich?
Oh yeah, I think it was. To be fair, but we have I believe, I could be wrong. People could try and prove me wrong if they want, but I believe that we have maybe talked to him before about the role. Now we don't know that for official, and probably never will. But he also won't cost the earth. He's free. You don't have to pay a fee to a club to get him out of somewhere. Yeah, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't really want Liam Manning, if I'm honest. I don't think he particularly plays amazing football. But
sorry,
it just makes sense from the time.
You'll see why I laughed in a sec. But yeah, it's a strange one. Couple of comments. Terry 930 says, "What's Lee Clark up to these days?"
Back.
And Ben Rothery has gone, well, frankly, a bit mad. Steve Bruce, ? No thanks. And I'm not even a Town fan, and I'm like, surely you don't want that.
Well, Bruce wouldn't come back to us anyway. He just wouldn't.
Things have happened.
No, Town fans wouldn't have him. I mean, Lee Grant didn't have a connection with the fan base. Steve Bruce does, but for all the wrong reasons. I mean, I don't know how old that supporter is, but please go back and read about Steve Bruce's time at the club before, and then you might understand why that will never happen again. And he's not on this list.
There's a couple of other comments that Jed's gone even slightly crazier with Mark Hughes at Carlisle. He's not doing that bloody well at Carlisle for a start, Jed. Jesus.
Is Jed Brownie? Are we sure that Jed, you might not understand. You might not understand that, Jed, but we have another person on the podcast called Steve Brown, and he loves Mark Hughes.
To be fair, it's one of those. I don't think he does. I just think we somehow ended up tarring him with the brush that he did. Matthew making the point, Darren Moore's available. That's the year, so they'll probably stay that way as far as Steve's concerned. I'm just going to look at this list again. I appreciate it's early days, and look, I imagine the bookies list will change drastically in the next 24 hours for a start. I don't know. I mean, where would you feel about someone that's kind of on the up in terms of, so for example, the name that I'm looking there is the third one down, Andy Woodman. Somebody who has been at a club for a while, who has built that club up from not a great deal to doing exceptionally well at the top end of the league 2 in Bromley. The fact that he's built them up over a good number of years from the National League, got them from, I mean, they were punching well above the weight to even get out of the National League, to be fair. But in terms of taking, not necessarily Woodman, but just using him as an example, someone from a league below that has kind of had some time and has built something. The problem, I guess, that Town fans will have is, whilst I personally, my view is there's a lot to be said about giving managers time, is if it doesn't hit the ground running with whoever comes in next, is there a risk that we're looking at this same situation in 6-8 months, a year's time, for example?
Yeah.
Two questions there, Steve. Firstly, where do you stand on kind of appointing from a league below with someone that's got a good track record but isn't a name, so to speak? And then secondly, at the same time, does it matter who comes in? If it doesn't go well, you're back to square one before you know it.
The first question is, if it's somebody like, let's take Dave Chandler at Stockport. He's a great example, isn't he? Where, he's taken them from non-league, the National League, up to League One and potentially, challenging for a place in the Championship. Now, I don't know much about Andy Woodman, I'll be honest. At Bromley, I don't really know his journey. I'm only speaking about him because you've just mentioned him as an example. The problem I have with somebody like him is, and again, this will sound really disrespectful, but I really don't intend it to be.
Whatever you're about to say is going to really annoy me, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. But the pressure of what he's doing at Bromley isn't the same as trying to get Moneyball Huddersfield Town out of League One. He's done amazing at Bromley. He has. Let's not beat around the bush. What you've just said is perfectly factually correct. He hasn't had a lot of money by the sounds of it at Bromley, and he's done brilliant, and he's doing amazing this season. But they're doing better than what they expected. It's a lot like Bradford, isn't it, in League One? I mean, I know that this will probably kick off with City fans, but they're doing amazingly well at the moment, and are doing far and above what they should be doing realistically for what they expected. Doesn't Andy Woodman come to Town and go, blooming heck, this is not, I should have stayed at Bromley, and potentially got them up and carried on that journey. You don't know, do you? I'm not against it. I really am not against it. If it's somebody that's doing amazingly well and you can see he's on a pathward journey that they will make it, upwards in the Football League as a manager. So that's the answer to the first question. I'm not against it. The second question was, are we going to be back here in 8 months? No, in Huddersfield Town, yes. But
that's the spirit.
But the longer answer, I suppose the other answer is, you would like to hope not, if they appoint somebody such as a Gary Rowett, a Tony Mowbray, or a Nigel Pearson, or that Nigel Clough. You would hope that wouldn't be the case. There's this thing about you can't keep sacking managers, which is absolutely correct, but you can sack them when they're just not performing to what you would hope that they would do. If you get what I mean.
It's a really difficult one, I think, because, and look, I again, I don't mean to irritate Huddersfield fans here by making this comparison with Bradford, but it's similar to what we have talked to Gaz about over the last 2 or 3 years. In that, Bradford were continuously changing managers when things weren't working. The City fan base was forever divided and never unified. And look, even Graham Alexander, at one point in that first full season that he had, there was large swathes of the Bradford City supporter that wanted him out, and then he turned it around. The form got better and things improved, and Christ, look where they are now, sort of thing.
Yeah.
At some point, you have got to stop stacking managers. And Kevin Nagel is a man that has been through more managers in a short tenure as owner of the club than some owners go through in 20 years. And at some point, there's got to be a little bit, and look, it's a little bit like what we'd said, certainly in the last few months, that we felt that you and I, or obviously you as a Town fan and me looking from the outside, felt that if he had stuck with Duff last season, missed out on the playoffs, as it happened anyway, that if he'd have been given that backing and more time, that you possibly could have been in a better position to where you are this season, rather than obviously appointing Lee Grant, and here we are 8 months on.
Yeah.
There's got to come a point where, and surely, like, there's also, I think there's got to be an acceptance with the Town fan base as well, though I appreciate the expectation is high. But whoever comes in next has got to be given at least 12, 18 months to get, something together. They've got to, because look, you and I both know that I've said for a while that Grant was not the man to give the time to.
Yeah.
But you've got to give somebody with experience and know-how the time. It can't be all great. We're back to being 7th or 8th. Let's get him gone. It can't keep on going that way.
No, and I agree with that. But there's a and this is where people from looking on the outside see differently to people who, and like many who are watching this stream, who watch every minute of every game, like near enough like I do. It's the manner of the performances. It's the manner of the consistently or inconsistently, as it is, bad performances from players that you expect a lot better from. I mean, Gucci's one of my favourite players, but he passed the ball out of play about 4 times today. I mean, I know we can't blame the manager for that. Lee Grant's not kicking the ball, but there must be there's a reason why these players are not playing for either this manager or there must be a psychological reason why that's happening. And I agree with you, and I've said it for a while. We can't keep sacking managers, but you don't sack managers that you can see might go and get better. So, for example, I agree. I've said it all season. I've said it all end of last season. We shouldn't have sacked Duff, because as bad as what it was last season, and I said it was bad, there was circumstances behind that. He had an aging squad. He had players that didn't really want to be at the club anymore. He had lots of injuries, players out of contract. There were lots of things in that last season that didn't help Michael Duff in any way. Injuries, the injury record was horrific. Now, as bad as what the injury record has been at times for Lee Grant, it's not been as bad as what it was for Michael Duff. So this season, the squad was refreshed in the summer. I mean, we brought in, I think it was 14 new players. That's basically a first team. And, the club seemed refreshed. The stadium has been bought since then. I just think Michael Duff with his squad would have made so much more sense. The problem is that what's happened with the managers before is, you look at whenever they've been sacked for the wrong time or the wrong reason. So Warnock was sacked because they fell out over a tweet. It don't matter. It don't matter, by the way, what people say. That is the reason. Secondly, you look at Darren Moore. He gave him too long. I think he had 27 games. Should have been sacked after 5, especially when he lost to Leeds. Brian Reiter was just a mental period where really by the end he was just chucking. Do you know what Brian Reiter? Do you know what reminds me of Brian Reiter? What Glasner's done today. If anybody's seen Glasner today, go check his interview out on the BBC. It's mad. So, but in a very, very less version. So Brian Reiter chucked people under the bus, didn't really care in the end, and was thankful that we sacked him and he went back to Germany. Then you appoint Michael Duff, and we've just spoke about him. Worthington then gets 10 games, and then you employ a very inexperienced Lee Grant, but give him a decent budget. Don't make any sense, does it, Chris?
There's a parallel universe somewhere in which I imagine Brighton Reiter had stayed on, because I know you can't rewrite history. I would bloody love to know how that would have panned out. The way that Brighton Reiter was throwing players under buses left, right, and centre, slagging them off every week in, week out. I would have absolutely, And again, this is for a looking outside from the outside perspective. I'd have loved to have seen what would have happened if Brighton Wright had been like, yeah, sod it. I'm staying for the League One season. You can all piss right off. I'm going to bring in my own squad and go from there. Like, there's a parallel universe somewhere where it's either like just burning in the flames of hell or it works a treat and you're just full of German wunderkids. Sorry, wunderkins.
I would quite like it in 20 years if somebody who is connected to the town fan base, who is a journalist or can write articles, somebody like Lee Morris, let's say, you won't know him, but Lee's a good lad who does a lot of history writing for the club and did a fantastic tribute to Terry Orath on the town website. But it'd be amazing if he went in 20 years' time and interviewed Raya and just laid out and just went, right, what actually happened in this period? You had Keane Harrott at one stage playing up front as our only striker. How has that happened?
Don't wait 20 years for that interview, Lee. Do it tomorrow. Let's see what Brighton Wright has to say. Because honestly, it was such a peculiar time, but he came with a reasonable reputation, and like he'd managed teams before, unlike Fotheringham from Germany, and you just kind of looked at it and thought, I just loved his attitude. I love that the don't like the I doesn't give a monkeys about what the players make of it. You've been crap. I'm throwing you under that bus because you were terrible, sort of thing. I'd just love to have seen a different world where that pans out. In fact, there we go. I'm campaigning for a miscellaneous foreign manager to be appointed now that's going to work wonders.
Yeah, I mean, that is the other thing.
Whatever keeps you away from Skubala.
The two examples in recent history, obviously, of Town going very left field, but for foreign coaches, is Wagner and Corberan. They've tried.
Whoa! Don't you be forgetting Jan Sievert.
No, but I was just going to say Jan Sievert, unfortunately, or Martin from Wakefield, as he was.
Martin from Wakefield, yeah,
will be forever dubbed. He the problem for Sievert is he came into an absolutely crap show, like at the end of the Premier League era, and if you can call it an era, 2 years. And there were just players that were absolutely just didn't give a crap about the club at all. They were. So,
and then you were so gracefully saved by Sir Danny and Sir Nicky.
Okay, we're not going on to this. We're not going on to this. Anyway, let's hope that future sort of like reveals itself and we can take inspiration from the past and employ another successful Lincoln manager who might do better than what the Cowleys did with us.
You can piss right off. If you get I swear to God.
It's sending nightmares for you now, isn't it?
It's just a track record over 20-odd years of.
Imagine if we got
pinching the best assets from Lincoln. You can last year it was Sorensen. This year it was Sean Rowan. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate they haven't been that good in the end for Town since their moves. But they were very good. In fact, no, sod off. You go back a few years earlier, bloody Toffolo. You took freaking Toff as well. So
just imagine if Scoobs came to Town.
I'm not having it.
And the playoff final.
I'm not thinking about it.
The playoff final was Town v Lincoln.
I'm going to mute you. Where are you? Shut up. I'm not having it. I refuse. I refuse to even entertain the idea of
That would be brilliant. Town end the season on 81 points, which always guarantees that we go up, by the way, because that's how history works.
Where's mute?
Right. And then Scoobs becomes Town manager, and we end the season on 81 points, and we beat you in the playoff final. That'd be a dream scenario. That dream.
Sorry, were you speaking?
Yeah.
Let's kind of round it off there because we've done almost an hour and we were only going to do 20 odd minutes or so. Give you an opportunity though, just to kind of plug. Obviously, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, you'll be back with a proper Town Talk show with. Well, without me as a neutral for a start, and with actual proper people that know more about Huddersfield Town than I. Who are you going to have on there? I'm guessing Cal will be on. You'll have Kane. You'll have Oliver.
Yeah, Oliver's just passed his referee course, by the way, so we're going to get him to give Lee Grant the red card to open the show up with. But yeah, it's going to be them lads. Me, obviously.
As hell.
It'll be interesting to. Well, we do it for the clickbait, don't we? I think in terms of the show, it's going to be good. views. There'll be views galore, particularly from the lads. So obviously, I've kind of given my view, but I'll be able to expand on it slightly tomorrow. Please do get involved, and like Chris says, 8 p.m. Make sure you come back here. But it's been great to get all the commenting tonight, particularly this one. Love this one. Absolutely love it.
Jesus Christ. Jed says you're into Wembley in the Mickey Mouse Cup.
Well, yeah, we're still in it, the EFL trophy as well. So yeah, woo.
Question
Hey,
is,
that's a positive.
Who'll be walking you out at Wembley?
We've got Doncaster Rovers in next round. That's a right tie for whoever the new manager is going to be. Be in place for that.
It's not bad, to be fair. Just before we do finish up, I do just want to touch on simply this. This is what the rest of January looks like for Huddersfield Town. Obviously, we're assuming it's going to be a combination of Johnny Worthington and maybe Jonathan Hogg in some form of caretaker role, because either that or Chris Markham is going to be a very quick worker to get a manager in place by next Saturday anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it'll be them two. And listen, that what a game to throw. In fact, I'd put Hoggy back on the pitch. Sorry, just let Worthy have the sideline and put Hoggy back on the pitch. Go on, Hoggy. We'll sign you up to a new contract. Get you back into the fire pit of the West Yorkshire derby. He'd love it with Hoggy. He'd start going around kicking folk.
I kind of feel like
Max Power.
Well, I kind of feel like if and that's how a Bradford man gets. He said, "Couldn't you just keep him for one more week?"
No, guys.
No. There is an argument that actually that is the perfect game, certainly for the caretaker management of the likes of Worthington and Hogg, if it is them that know that derby and the rivalry, at least, if not having played in them games, the rivalry between the two sides so well, I guess. Do we think finally that because there is no mention of a caretaker plan in place, that actually things might already be well and truly kind of on in the background? Do we think Chris Markham has been prepping for this moment for a couple of weeks, putting the feelers out maybe on the down low, and actually that you may have a manager in place for Saturday and that new manager bounce for the derby?
Yeah. Liam Manning's already in the building. He's already had a cup of tea with him. I think it might well be the case. I would be surprised if tomorrow. What will be interesting is if tomorrow they don't put out a statement of Worthy and Hoggy being interim. If that doesn't happen, that says to me that they've already been on the phone and that they kind of know a direction which they're going in, which isn't like Town. Let's be honest. Normally at Town, we take about 6 weeks to get a new manager in. So, well done to Chris Markham if that has happened. But I think we will get a statement tomorrow that says Worthy and Hoggy. And to be honest, I kind of hope that happens, because I quite like them to be on the sidelines to kick the arse of the players in a West Yorkshire derby. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still expect to lose because
I'm not going a chance of winning. I really do.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it gives us a chance of winning. With Lee Grant, we had no chance of winning. No chance. You might as well put traffic cones on the pitch. Or me and Dee might have been up front and we'd have had a better chance. I'm the target man in this situation because I'm taller, by the way. But I'm a bit taller. Anyway, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, let's just hope it scoobs, huh? Let's hope it scoobs.
Absolutely sod off. And on that quite literal potential bombshell, we will wrap it up there. Then big thank you to everyone that has got in touch over the course of the last hour or so. Thank you to everyone for submitting your comments. I'll say don't forget to check out Steve and the lads' proper Town Talk show at 8:00 tomorrow night, when they'll have a full in-depth look at the breaking news this evening of Lee Grant's departure, and probably a bit more of a in-depth and interesting look ahead at where Town go from here and who may be coming in. As I say, to put it this way, I think the bookies list, when they actually get their acts together collectively, will be really interesting to see who they put in, because I'm desperately hoping Skubala disappears off the list altogether. And on that note, thank you very much, Steve. Pleasure for having you with me for the last hour or so. We'll see you tomorrow. Big thank you to everyone that's got in touch. I'll say Town Talk tomorrow night at 8 p.m. with Steve and the lads. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm sure you'll all be raising a glass to the departure of Lee Grant. Certainly seems that the majority, or the vast majority, are in favour of his departure. You've got your weekend wish, and we'll see you soon. Take care.